All right, everybody, welcome back to Turn 2 with Scott and Troy. We have an awesome guest. I've been waiting for this one. He just got called up to Jacksonville. This is Jacob Berry, one of the most famous Jacob Berrys I ever have known. Jacob, thank you so much for coming onto the show. My first interaction with you, I think was it in spring training in 23? Yep, and we were actually at the early camp, I think, in 23, right?
That's correct.
Yep,
yeah.
we went to early camp, and then we went to big league camp, and I have admired the way that you go about baseball in such a professional manner. Is there anybody, or has it just been kind of brought through to you on how you approach the game and how you treat it as such a professional?
Yeah, well, first I want to say thanks for having me. I mean, good to follow you around this year and on this podcast has been pretty kind of funny and cool at the same time. But yeah, I've had a good support system, obviously, with my dad played professional baseball, and then just a lot of people in my corner kind of growing up that were in the baseball realm. Just mainly being my dad, being the big supporter, obviously, being the person I look up to, and just him teaching me how to play baseball at a young age and coaching me since I was 3 or 4 years old has been the real reason I carry myself the way I do. And obviously I want to do it for a long time, and so I try to treat it in a professional manner in that sense. So that's partially why, but a lot of it I think was instilled in me at a young age with my dad. So I've been lucky in that realm.
Shout out to Berry.
Yeah, to Berry. Yeah.
You grew up in Arizona, and that is a great place for baseball. You've got the Diamondbacks, but you also have spring training. You could play all year long, just like here in Florida. You mentioned your dad. What are some memories you have as a kid of him maybe getting you into the game of baseball?
Yeah, obviously growing up in Arizona, I grew up in a small town in northern Arizona, always kind of commuting down to Phoenix to play club baseball at the time, but really remember just kind of going to Diamondbacks games. Obviously, that was when Paul Goldsmith, and they had some really good players, but Paul Goldsmith always stuck out to me, and I think that's a big reason, kind of going back to Troy, how I started kind of following my baseball career and how I kind of envisioned myself playing in the future. But yeah, I got very lucky being in Arizona. The spring trainings were always fun to go see, but always playing baseball. It seemed like every weekend in Arizona. We got pretty lucky with that.
Better than what you had, huh, in Pacific Northwest?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we got to train inside all the time. Granted, our facilities are unreal.
Okay.
They are unbelievable how they are set up, how they work, everything like that. If any of the guys listening back at Diamond Sports or New Level, they are unbelievable facilities. But that's really, it's very different. We had to practice inside for a majority of the year. And I remember even high school games, I got to put on 2 Under Armours. I got to put on cold weather gear. And it's not the Arizona where, in the winter it's 75 degrees.
Yeah, we're complaining about 75 degrees and cloudy when that's probably the warmest for you guys. But
Exactly. Okay, so you brought up something interesting. You brought up Paul Goldschmidt. That is one of my single favorite players that is so underrated. If you look at his stats over the career of 14, 13 years, they are unbelievable. Every year he's hitting 300 with 30 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
It is unbelievable. Yes, he had a little bit of a slow start. We'll call it a slow start this year in St. Louis. But he is one of the most incredible baseball players I've ever been able to watch. The way he swings at pitches, the way he approaches, the way he plays first base, it's unbelievable. And so that's kind of crazy for you that you got to grow up watching that, because for me, I got to grow up watching outfilders, Ichiro Suzuki, Ken Griffey Jr., people like that. But you got to watch one of the people that are playing still that are just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, Paul Goldsmith, obviously, being an Arizona Diamondback, I mean, just getting to watch him, I guess, every game, my dad would always kind of point out, he's like, look at one player and watch them, and I always gravitated towards him. I think just mainly because that was when he was really, I guess, in his prime. He was always hitting. It seemed like every year, every time I went to a game, he hit an extra base hit or would do it. But it's like the thing that I noticed was just the way he carried himself. I mean, every time it seemed like when he would get out, it was just a straight face, just calm, collected. And then it's like when he hit the home run, almost the exact same thing. And I was just in awe of that, because at a kid's young age, I was like, I didn't know how to do that. I strike out, I'd be mad. And if I hit a base hit, I'd be jumping, ecstatically. But it's just learning that and watching that, I think, firsthand really kind of helped me grow as a person and as a player at that age.
I also think it helps when you're making $15 million a year.
Yeah,
That's just
that's
making 30.
Yeah,
Definitely
30, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think that helps a little bit, just a tad. But
well,
it's better than grinding in the minor leagues sometimes.
Hey,
But
never know.
his minor league numbers were incredible too.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
he's
God.
phenomenal.
He hit 40 one year.
In the
Almost
minors? Wow.
Yeah, almost on Davison De Los Santos numbers.
Wow.
Close. I think he was a little bit. Goldschmidt was a little bit better, but it is what it is.
So a lot of guys who are switch hitters, they'll say, my dad wanted me to do this, and it's hard, first off, switch hitting. How did you get into switch hitting? I know Goldsmith is not a switch hitter, so were you inspired by a major league player, or was it your dad's idea? How did that happen?
Yeah, so funny you say that. My dad played professionally for the Houston Astros from, I believe, 91 to about 96, 97. And he had a hard time hitting breaking balls, especially right-handed breaking balls that were going away from him. So instead of teaching me how to hit it at a young age, he decided to just flip me around and let the curveball come into me a little bit. So just kind of flipped it around, and he said, here you go, figure it out. But no, he taught me at a young age, and some days I'm grateful for it. Some days it's a little bit of a grind. But, yeah, he taught me at a young age, and I'm very grateful for it nowadays. Obviously, it's taken a lot of time and effort, but, I mean, it helps me a lot tremendously. Obviously, a lot of left-handers, right-handers, and you can play matchups, but I feel like I can flip over, and it gives me a little bit of an edge on pitchers nowadays, so I'm really happy for it.
So we were talking a little bit before when we were walking up. Your switch hitting. There's sometimes like you told me last year that you were thinking about just hitting right-handed for the second half of the season. Like, what are the feels like for somebody that's a switch hitter? Like, what is it? Is it like a swing path thing? Is it just literally a mental feel that one side feels better? Maybe they're both locked in that day. Like, what? Talk us through that.
No, it felt like when I played in college, both sides were locked in. To be honest with you, everything was always, it came easy in college, but you get to professional baseball, and obviously you get exposed a little bit more. Guys have a little bit better stuff and a little bit better command, and I think just learning how to adapt to that. But last year, it was like I said, it was second half of the year. I was like, man, every time I got a right-handed at bat, it was like I was itching to go up there because it was like I knew I was going to drive the ball or I was going to walk. Like, didn't ever feel like I was out of my bat where, some days, you know how it is. It's like when you're struggling. And when you have two different swings, it seems like you're two different hitters on that side. So some days it can be really good one way, and then some days it's not very good. And then the days that it's not good on both sides, you're just like, oh, hopefully I walk today or something like that. But it's definitely managing in that regard. But I mean, just both sides are just their own things, own hitter on both sides. So some days it's good right-handed, and some days it's good left-handed. So we'll see how it is.
It's crazy you said that you have two different swings. I feel like I have three different swings. I only hit from one side.
Really?
Oh yeah. Sometimes it just feels so weird. So the interesting part that I think about switch hitting. So I work at a facility in the off season, and I love working with the kids at. Shout out to South Hill Little League. Actually made the Little League World Series, and the whole facility.
Awesome.
Yeah, that facility is where all the kids that I was working with, and they were awesome. They're unbelievable, but I can't take that much credit. I'm just hanging out.
You did a little bit.
Yeah.
If they know me, I smell like coffee, and I'm coming in yelling the whole time. That's all it is. But the thing about the switch hitting is, for you, you're talking about your right hand, and you throw right-handed. And so your right hand is your dominant hand, that top hand. And maybe you feel like you can drive the ball better because you have more control of the bat. Where with your lefty swing, the right hand's on the bottom. And so it'll have a little bit more loop, a little bit more like if you see with similar to Tristan Gray or Griffin Conine or guys like that throw right-handed, hit left-handed. That bottom hand has a little bit more swing to it, a little bit more dip, where with the right-handed swing, that top hand will kind of take over.
Yeah, that's.
And I wonder if that's like an interesting part that you think about as a switch hitter.
No, I definitely agree with that. I feel like I have a little bit more barrel control right-handed at times. I think just because that's my dominant side. But like I said, sometimes it's.
I'm sorry, was that a bird?
No,
That was
it
a
was
leaf.
a leaf.
Oh, I was like, was that a bird? I'm sorry, keep going.
No.
Keep going.
No, but some days it's just filling it out, to be honest with you. Right-handed, like you said, it's my dominant side, so sometimes I feel like I can get into that groove a little bit quicker, where left-handed it's like, okay, I have a little bit more of a routine. But as the years went on this year, I feel like I've been able to manage them both a little bit better, and obviously kind of being my second full season in pro ball, that's been something that's part of the growing pains and everything like that, is just kind of figuring out how to manage both sides. Sometimes right-handed is a little bit more work than left-handed, but like you said, I think there is something to it. The top hand, I mean, my right hand being my dominant hand, so I think that's partially probably why I have a little bit of loop left-handed as well, just because that's the lead hand, where right-handed it's like I'm just driving through the ball and I can stay through the middle of the field a little bit easier. But some days it works like that, and some days it doesn't. So it's just managing that.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It is. Do you use two different bats?
I have majority of my professional career. I think I'm leaning towards kind of just swinging one bat right now. So it's a work in progress always. Whatever feels good that day, to be honest with you.
I know Xavier swung two different bats too.
He did.
Yeah.
And he had an axe handle on one and then a regular one on the other.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a different feel for a lot of hitters, and you have all the labs and everything like that with Marucci, with Louisville Slugger, with all of them, and they'll all kind of have some input on what's best for your swing and what plays analytically better.
Yeah.
And so I've done a few of those, and it seems like sometimes it helps and sometimes it's hurt a little bit. So it's just this year it's kind of been what feels good and what can I barrel up the most balls with, and I think that's what's helped me this year a little bit more. Yeah.
This year, you're also playing right field, which I think
sir.
for the majority of your career, you've been an infielder, even in college.
Yep.
What has that transition been like? Because first 2 days, you look pretty smooth out there, at least here in Jacksonville.
I appreciate that. No, I played a little bit at LSU, so I transferred from University of Arizona to LSU, and in my mind, I thought I was going to play third base every day when I went to LSU, but I was open to kind of playing wherever just because I wanted to be in the lineup, obviously. And opening night, I get the lineup card, and I was in right field, so I was just a little bit in shock there. But this year, it's kind of been the same thing. I've just gotten to play multiple positions. I've kind of played everywhere. I started playing third and first early this year, and then obviously played a lot more right field the second half of the season and since I've gotten here. And it sounds bad. I really don't care as long as I'm in the lineup. That's kind of the mindset I have. I've always had that, I think, growing up. But the outfield is actually kind of fun. You get to kind of just kind of be a little bit lazy out there and just kind of pay attention and screw around a little bit. But then it's just like you just lock in before the pitches and try to make a play. So it's kind of fun.
I read growing up that you were not just a great baseball player, but you also played basketball and football. Baseball seems like with your dad, it was your love. Like, how much did it help you because of, hey, my dad played professional baseball and you're playing presumably year-round in Arizona, to at least have some other things that, you were doing other things besides playing baseball that you weren't maybe getting burned out by the game?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Both my parents grew up in a small town in Colorado, and they always had me playing everything. It seemed like I was playing soccer when I could barely run and everything like that, then football and basketball. Now, I wasn't the greatest dual sport athlete by any means. Basketball, I felt like I was more of a football player in basketball, and then football was always fun. You get away from baseball and you get all your anger and aggression out just by tackling somebody, so that was fun. But where baseball, you can't quite do that. But
You can. You'll just get thrown out.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
you can tackle somebody, but it's just you either fight or you just get thrown out.
Yeah,
one or the other.
That doesn't seem to work too well for us nowadays. But no, it definitely helped. I loved playing everything growing up. Really loved football. I played it till my junior year of high school, and then kind of realized baseball was kind of my path moving forward. But basketball was always my mom's favorite. I think basketball is probably both my parents' favorite sports. It just, my dad kind of realized the same thing. He had a better opportunity in baseball than he did in basketball, and it just kind of carried on with me too. I feel like I could hit a baseball better than I could shoot a basketball, so it worked out. And I mean, I'm here now, so I'm kind of enjoying it. But yeah, the separating it from baseball is always a big thing. I felt like it was fun, always fun. I was always going outside to play basketball with my buddies, everything like that in high school, and never was going out to play baseball. I was always going out to play football or basketball, so it gave me something to get away from and just something fun to do. So I really enjoyed it growing up.
Can you dunk?
No, I can't. Another reason I didn't choose basketball over baseball there. Yeah.
I don't know how many 6-foot professional basketball players there really is. Allen Iverson was the last one.
Hockey's got to be big up from where you're from.
Hockey?
Yeah. Or not too much.
Well, I mean, I played hockey. They had a bunch of hockey leagues when I was a kid, but I don't know. It's not as much as you think. Not like the Dakotas, the Minnesotas, the Wisconsin, Michigan.
Okay.
Like that's more like, I think because it's closer to Toronto.
Oh, okay.
But we got 2 hockey teams up there now. We got the Canucks and we got the
Kraken.
The Kraken. Yeah, I like to call them the Crackheads. It's funny. But no, we didn't play too much. I remember though, I played roller hockey for like 3 or 4 years until they shut it down at the Y. And that was so much fun, and it was the only time my coach said it was the only time he's ever seen anybody get thrown out of a game, because we didn't have like pads or anything. It was literally just like knee pads, and you had this little like plastic ball that you play with, and I would run kids into the wall and do all this stuff, and they're like, "Dude, you can't do that. You are like 10. Stop it. You're hurting kids." And I was like, I guess I got to get into ice hockey or something. But then I tried ice hockey, and can you skate?
Nope, I can't. I'm not that coordinated.
It is so difficult to ice skate. That might be one of the most difficult things I've ever seen. You have to put so much work into that. It's almost like golf.
I heard you're good at golf, though. That's not the same.
You got to keep that on the DL.
Hey.
All right, we got to keep that on the down low, because when I pop up on the Corn Ferry tour this next year, all right, and I surprise everybody.
Yeah.
We just got to keep that on the DL.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I can play a little bit. Yeah. Played competitively. Got a few trophies here or there.
Yeah. No,
You go to Arizona, and then you go to LSU, which is like one of the premier, if not the best, college baseball environment. It's got to be pretty darn close. Like, why make that transfer? Because U of A is also a great baseball school too.
yeah, obviously I went to Arizona out of high school, and the big reason I went there was because of Jay Johnson. Obviously, he's the head coach at LSU now, but went to Arizona. Was really excited out of high school, and I loved it. We had a great team. We went to Omaha. We 2-2'd in Omaha, but we had a great team. We won the Pac-12 that year. Really enjoyed it. A lot of guys playing professional baseball now. I mean, a lot of good baseball players there. But when Jay went to LSU, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. I'm getting in the portal and I'm going over to LSU. This is obviously, like you said, it's the best place to play in college baseball, in my opinion. I mean, I got to play at Arkansas. I got to play at a bunch of SEC places and in Omaha. I mean, there's just nothing like Tiger fans in Baton Rouge at the Alex Box. It's phenomenal and something that I'm very, very lucky to be able to get to do, and was really grateful that I got to do it. I mean, going in my first game at Alex Box, there's 12,000 people, and it's 30 degrees outside, and I can see my breath. Never really played in a game that cold in Arizona, but man, when those fans are cheering you on, man, just adrenaline just through the roof. It was unbelievable. Had great experience. Obviously, didn't get it done, and they did the next year. I was glad I kind of got out of there. You know, they got rid of me so they could go win a national championship. But you know, it was a great program to be at. Obviously, a lot of great ball players came out of there. I mean, Skip Bertman has built that program, and then Jay Johnson is obviously running it the right way right now. So I'm really grateful to kind of just be a part of that, you know, story tradition, and just really grateful to being able to play there.
So this guy's before your time, but when I was in Myrtle Beach, Alex Lang was in Myrtle Beach, and I don't know if you ever faced him, but
I don't know.
He was telling me about how he ended up at LSU. Like, he went on his recruiting visit, and, you know, his mom was like, oh, I hope you have a great time. And she had texted him in, like, the third inning of whatever game he was at, and she's like, how is it? And he called her, and all he did was hold up the phone so she could hear what it was like. I mean, that is, to me, like, such a cool story about, and I'm not super into college baseball, but that tells you how big LSU is and the alumni that you referenced there. It is like, when I was talking with Alex about it, and clearly you as well, like, it is just out of control. So cool.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, they got Kevin Gosman, Aaron Nola, Alex Bregman, obviously Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz are just debuting this year that are, you know, the next wave of LSU baseball players. And, you know, hopefully I'll be there soon enough too. But, yeah, a lot of great ball players that came through there and are having a lot of success now in pro ball too. So it's pretty cool that everybody kind of has a similar background at LSU. And like you said, I mean, you play at Alex Box on a Friday night and on a Saturday night. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's pretty unique. The LSU fans get into it, and everybody talks about one of the hardest places to play in the country is Alex Box. Everybody in the SEC, everybody hates going to LSU's from what I got. And I mean, some of that I can't say out loud, but you know, that it's universal that everybody, you know, it's a tough place to play. And I mean, I loved it. It was such a great experience.
What about the other SEC schools? Because Jake Mangum has come on, and he loved LSU. He loved Arkansas. Obviously, Mississippi State with the barbecue stuff is really neat. Was there a place you liked playing in the SEC besides LSU?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, Mississippi State's facility and everything was unbelievable. I mean, they have the barbecue in the outfield, and that might be one of the coolest things ever. I mean, they obviously won the national championship in 2021, so they came off a national championship. I mean, Mangum and Tanner Allen and all those great players that played there. They built that foundation in Mississippi State, and that was probably, honestly, one of my favorite places to play in the country, on the road, anywhere. I mean, the fans were into it. I mean, in the Saturday game, I think there was 15,000 plus people. People are screaming. They're maroon and white or whatever they say. And but, man, they got really quiet when they were losing. But when they're up, man, that's not a fun place to play, that's for sure. But, yeah, that place is unbelievable. Arkansas was probably the toughest place I think I played in the SEC. The year I was there, I didn't get to play at Ole Miss. That was one of the places I got to play at. Got to play at Florida, at Vanderbilt. But I think my favorite place to play, I think, was probably Mississippi State. They had just an unbelievable fan base, and I think after the Sunday game, they literally, the fans had food for us, which I don't know if is totally legal or anything like that. But
I've heard they do.
Maybe with the NIL deals.
Yeah,
now,
with NIL deals now,
it's
totally legal. But they fed us, and man, they took great care of us, and it was just unbelievable. I mean, they were just great fans, man. They were hard on us the entire game, and then it was like when the game ended, man, they were just nice people. They were just excited to watch baseball. So I was really grateful for that opportunity and just everything in that sense.
Did you get to play at A&M?
I did not. They came to us that place, so we didn't. I
Gotcha.
didn't get to play at A&M or Auburn. I heard Auburn is a pretty good little place to hit, and I didn't get to play there. They came to us that year.
Gotcha. Okay. That was the only SEC team I ever
You went to
Oh,
A&M.
well, yeah, I went to A&M.
Went to
Played
A&M.
there. Yeah. And then I don't know, small West Coast schools. We don't go too many places. We went to Southern Miss, I guess. That was the only other one.
That was a hostile environment. I played there in the
Yeah.
regional
Yeah.
my sophomore year at LSU. That was the last college game I played at there. That's the first time I think I heard LSU chants actually get drowned out by USM chants.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a mix. It was pretty crazy. It was fun.
That was one of the games. So on our Sunday game, we got rained out because it was my first southern storm I've ever seen. I was so scared. We were sitting in the bus and it's just thunder, lightning. We don't get that up in the Northwest. It's not a thing. And we're having these thunderstorms, and we were losing in the second inning 10-0 because they hit 4 home runs in the first 2 innings, and then the game got canceled. So all those home runs those guys hit were just gone.
Oh,
But we were getting kicked. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
no, they could swing it. That's for sure. They had a good ball club that year.
Mhm.
They lost to Old Miss after they beat us in the regional, and I mean Old Miss obviously went on to win the whole thing that
Yeah.
year. But I mean that was a really fun place to play at. A lot of fans right on top of you. I mean it's a little
Well,
bit different than West Coast baseball. For
And that's
sure.
close to LSU, right?
That
Southern
is.
Miss?
It's a few hours. So
Oh, yeah, easy.
LSU traveled really well, and I mean that place was packed. They had trucks and everything lined up all on the outside. They were honking
all
their
that
horns.
right field
Oh yeah.
part where they put all the
Mhm.
cars and they park.
Yep. Yeah, it
Interesting.
was a fun place, man. That's a tough place to play for sure, though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, talking about, I want to go back to golf. So you golf a little bit, correct?
I'm getting into it. I got into it obviously after my first year getting drafted. I'm not the best player for sure.
Well, again, it's very hard to be good at golf. It's
Yeah.
it is one of the most difficult sports you can be
Yes,
good at.
definitely is.
But you live in 2 states that are like literally the home of golf. You
Yeah.
live in Florida and you live in Arizona. Is there like a certain course that you like to play, or like is there a certain place that you like? Because of course we got so many good name golf courses.
That's very true. Obviously, playing in Jupiter, Florida, we're spoiled down there, and then in Arizona, like you said, it's in the off season. There's no better place to play. I feel like in
Yeah.
Arizona, it's a little bit different, is what I've come to realize. It's desert golf, so you kind of have to know what you're doing with your shots. So I lose a lot of golf balls, obviously, but
And you can't
yeah.
go find them. You get because
No.
the rattlesnakes will get
yeah,
you.
there's
Really?
some.
Oh, yeah.
they'll
my
have
gosh.
they'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
warnings and everything like that. But no, I love playing just anywhere. To be honest with you, it's just fun to go with people and get out, like you said. I like Abacoa down in Jupiter just because there's a lot of fairways, going back and forth. So at least I can find my ball usually, unless it goes in the water.
Yeah, links course, you can hit it
Yeah.
three fairways
Yeah.
over and you'll be just fine.
I like those. So obviously, I mean, I haven't played a whole lot this year, but I'll probably play a little bit more this off season. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. It's just fun to go out and kind of, just have a few drinks and just kind of hang out with everybody. So it's fun to get out there and just do something other than baseball. So it's just to get good to do all that. I mean, I lose a lot of golf balls, but I have a good time, so it's fun.
Scott, I have a question for you. So you've been living in Florida for how many years now?
Almost 6.
Okay, almost 6 years.
Yeah.
Everybody from the Northwest, and this is also a question for you because you've been in Louisiana and of course in Florida. Everybody in the Northwest is so scared of alligators. They are so terrified they're like, oh my God, there's alligators like walking down the street. And I'm like, I haven't seen an alligator in like 5 years. And the first time I saw one, I was driving on the highway and it was like in a ravine on like the turnpike going to Orlando. I've never seen an alligator anywhere.
Not even in Jupiter.
Not even in Jupiter.
See, I think they're all down there.
Yeah,
I'm thinking even more south, like Miami.
I've
Yeah.
seen a few in Jupiter.
You have?
Yeah, down at the PGA course, not too far from us. I've seen a few out there.
Big ones or little ones?
I haven't seen any big ones out
Mm.
there. They've all been little ones.
And see, that's what I try to tell everybody because we're talking, your ears perked up when I said rattlesnakes. And
That is crazy to me. Yeah.
and so when I golf over in Eastern Washington, like it's the same kind of thing because Eastern Washington's pretty much desert. And so there was one time I was in Chelan, Washington. I hit a ball. It was a par 3, and I hit it like on this rock side. And I'm driving my cart over there, and it starts going, and I'm like, and that ball's gone. Not even gonna look for it. Just keep driving. And so that's so interesting to me because all the listeners that listen up in the Northwest and even up in the North, we got bears, and even in Arizona,
Yeah.
bears and snakes and wolves and coyotes and bobcats and mountain lions and all these stuff. And everybody's like, oh my God, alligators. I'm like, I don't see any alligators. They're so like not quarantined, but they're so you got to go find them.
Yeah, I think
They're not just walking around. You
No.
know, people don't have them on a leash walking down the street.
That's true.
you guys are not here in the winter. Believe it or not, it does get cooler here. It's very hot right now. I just think it's too cold to be for most alligators. Probably, I'm guessing. There are some here, like you hear about it on the news. The majority of them, I feel like, are in the south, because it gets like in the 40s, 30s here in the winter. I will say when my wife and I moved down here, and we like rented our first apartment, like in the lease was like this alligator addendum, and we were like, "Oh my God, there's gonna be alligators all over the place." But no, we have not, thankfully, not seen any. I've heard about scorpions in Arizona, by
Yeah,
the way.
that's a big thing.
And there's like, I don't remember the name of it, but I have a friend from Arizona who said there's these crazy dust storms or
The
something like that.
haboobs.
That's
it's
what it is,
haboob
yeah.
season right now too in Arizona.
Okay.
So yeah, those are different. I mean, I think at LSU I saw more alligators than I'd ever seen in Florida. To be honest with you, and a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people will actually go alligator hunting. Well, they'll set up the traps and like swamp people and everything like that. And that's a thing they actually do in Louisiana. So it's like fun. So I kind of stay away from them. I don't know how to handle them too much, being from Arizona. But like you said, there's in Arizona too. There's the haboobs. There's scorpions everywhere. Scorpions I see those a lot more than I see the rattlesnakes at least. But yeah, I mean everybody kind of stops and stares at the rattlesnakes whenever they see them. Whenever family would go hiking or just kind of something off the beaten path, you can definitely hear them. They let you know that they're around. So
But but the big scorpions aren't the scary ones. They're not the ones that are going to hurt you. They're the small, clear ones.
It's the little babies.
The little babies.
Because they don't know how to control their venom.
Yes.
So my mom has actually gotten stung once, and she didn't know she was allergic the first time she got stung. And so they'll be in your garages. You can't see them. They don't mess with you a whole lot, but you can take a black light out there and literally find them at night, and they'll just be out on rocks and everything like that. But they're everywhere, and people don't realize it. It's just because it's just Arizona. I mean, you got to have the exterminators come over, but and then you'll find them popping out of everywhere. But the big ones aren't the ones you got to worry about. It's just the little ones that they don't know what they're doing,
and they just get scared.
Oh yeah, and it's not a good feeling.
Have you been stung?
I have not. I've been lucky. So, but from watching my mom, I'm sure that I'll probably have the same reaction whenever I get stung as her. So, we'll see.
So let's talk. To go back to baseball, pro ball is such a different animal than college baseball. And I mean, even for you, I would think this is applicable. When you're playing in the lower levels of the minor leagues and when school starts even here, the crowds are thin out a little bit. And then you're used to playing in front of 12, 15,000 people in college baseball. Like, how much of an adjustment is that when there isn't as much juice in the crowd that maybe you're accustomed to after playing college baseball for a few years?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go off of what I had at LSU. I mean, playing in front of 12 plus thousand people every weekend, and then going to Jupiter, Florida, where playing with the Hammerheads, where there's maybe 12 people in the stands, is a little bit different. It's a little different feel. But I think playing, I guess, on the West Coast and in Arizona and all those where we didn't draw as many fans, obviously it kind of helped, to be honest with you. I mean, especially during COVID, they were limiting the fans that would actually come to the games. So just learning how to play in that environment as well as in the environment where there's a lot of people, it kind of helped me transition when I got to pro ball, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody's stories are a little bit different, playing in front of people and playing in front and not playing in front of people. But I feel like I've had a good, past on that, and have been lucky enough to experience both hands. So it's helped a little bit in pro ball. Obviously, the difference for me is playing every day. Where in college you'd get a few off days, so adjusting to that. Obviously, my second year here has been the big thing for me, and just maintaining my body as best I can.
What do you do to maintain your body?
A lot of sleep, to be honest with you. I've noticed that's a lot bigger than what I used to get in college, just because of the schedules and everything like that. But maintaining and prioritizing my sleep schedule has been the biggest thing for me.
How are the beds in Pensacola?
I had my own phone bed, so they weren't. I was smart this year.
Yeah, I should have done that. The beds they gave us,
a little rough.
I mean, how do you expect a professional athlete to perform with the beds that they put us on? Like, I would love for one of them to come down and just see this. It's unbelievable. Like, everybody needs a mattress topper. The bed concaves in the middle. My first bed I got was like, it looked like somebody had slept on it for maybe 3 years, 4 years, and had like rips on the side. I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, how how do you go from how do you expect, like you said, sleep being one of the most important things for you? That's awesome that you bought a
Yeah.
bed
I'm
and you prioritize that more than anything else. But a lot of guys sometimes don't know that because we've had so much turnover here in Jacksonville. I think me and probably two other guys have been the only ones that have been here in Jacksonville the whole year.
Out of 75 players,
Out
and
of
we get
75 players.
Marcy and somebody else
and
today. So
Harris
yeah,
on, yeah.
mm-hmm.
But
That's crazy.
but trying to prioritize those little things, I think you're on the right path because that is the most important thing: nutrition,
Yes.
sleep, recovery, and there's so many different outlets that we can use, especially with our trainers. That I think you have a perfect setup for what you're going to do for the rest of your career, and you have a really good baseline for it.
hmm Yeah, it's been. I mean, obviously everybody's learning and learns what kind of helps make them tick and everything like that. But that's, I think last year after the year, I was just tired in the off season. I'm like, it's didn't understand that because college. I mean, you're doing stuff every day of the week almost. I mean, your off day, you're trying to recover, catch up on classwork. You're so busy doing other things that it's like when you get to pro ball, you have to prioritize certain things. And I didn't know that last year, to where this year, trying to do it, make a better effort to do that. And I feel like it's helped me in the long run so far this year.
Well, good.
You're drafted near the top of the draft. Obviously, I think that was an expectation that somebody would take you up there. What's that? Hey, what was that day like, and what was that process like with your agent to navigate the different teams who are, looking at you and the money aspect of, hey, we're going to offer you this or that. Like, it's not like in football where it's just like, we're going to just pick this guy and we'll negotiate a contract. And maybe it is more like that in the first round than it is when you were picked.
Whoa,
later
whoa,
on.
easy.
I'm saying you're a great story.
I had a 1 in my draft. It might have followed a 7, but it was
Yeah.
still there.
Yeah.
But but it's different, right? It's different than football and basketball. So what was that whole process like to navigate for you? And I'm sure LSU helped with that a lot.
Yeah, obviously a lot of players have been, top first round picks and a lot of draft picks coming out of LSU. One of the I mean, I don't know if they're the most, but they're definitely up there for most draft picks in college athletics. But yeah, obviously I kind of knew where I was going to go in a range, kind of in the where I got picked, and was very kind of lucky and fortunate to do that. But I really trusted in my agent and had conversations before the draft happened, and it really just kind of handed the reins over to him. I said, because if you call me offering for somebody to let me play professional baseball and, hopefully eventually play in the big leagues one day, I was just going to say yes right on the dot. So I kind of let him and my dad really kind of take over that, where my dad stepped out, took a few phone calls, like when the draft was about to start and everything like that. And they just kind of came back and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I was just kind of along for the ride there. Obviously had some meetings beforehand and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be in a few years. And obviously that's mainly on how I've played and to where I'm at now. But a lot of it, having faith in my dad and then my agent. They obviously kind of carried me along the way and have gotten me here. So I'm really grateful for that.
And I was saying, like, for you, do teams call you, right? And they say, hey,
Very few, yes. I was
Okay.
one of the guys, and I know you probably had a couple of these. I was one of the guys that's like, hey, will you take under what you're asking for so that we can sign you? And I'm like, no. You're drafting me after the 10th? No.
I
I'm not gonna do
knew that that's a thing,
But,
right?
yeah, I got a couple of those calls and here or there, but I didn't get a single call from Miami. Scott Fairbanks is the absolute man. He is unbelievable. But I didn't know Miami was going to draft me. I actually got a text from one of my friends who's like, "Oh, hey, congrats! You're going to play pro ball." And I'm like, "Oh, who'd I get drafted by?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, sounds good."
Yeah.
But of course, your experience is a little bit different because I would imagine they probably called you and they were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're going to draft you with our next pick."
Yeah.
Was it Kim that called you?
It was DJ who called me,
DJ,
and then
gotcha.
Kim called me short after, and then
DJ's the
obviously
man, too.
Bruce called me right afterwards,
Yeah.
all that. So that was obviously a great experience. I mean, it's just kind of what I dreamed of as a kid and what I guess I worked for in high school and college, and was just very lucky to, be picked where I was picked, and just very fortunate to be given that opportunity altogether. But yeah, like you said, it was a whirlwind of emotions. I think the draft, I can't remember if it started at 6 or 7 that night, and I think I remember I was picked about 40 minutes into it, kind of the first round being a little bit slower than everything after that, and I remember that being like the longest, like 40 minutes. And then when I got the call, I think it was at like pick 3 or 4 that the Marlins were interested in calling. I was like, kind of the same thing you said. I was like, the Marlins? That was one of the teams that I didn't expect, to be completely honest with you.
Huh.
Ooh.
But
Keep going.
yeah, and they called and were interested, and then I think I knew I was getting picked at pick 5. They're like, yeah, we're going to pick you, and get the call. Congratulations from my agent, and that next like few minutes, I'm just sitting there like waiting for my name to get called and like just watching the clock tick down, and it was a long 30 seconds, but really really happy I got it done, and obviously I'm here now and hopefully just a little bit closer to Miami.
I love it. Well, Jacob, thank you so much for being with us today. You have
Oh.
an unbelievable head on your shoulders. I can't wait to see what the rest of your career looks like. I'm so excited to follow that. And you got a fan for life in me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast today, and we wish you the best of luck.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everybody, that is Jacob Berry. This is Turn 2 with Scott and Troy. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can check us out on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Make sure to hit that follow button and like. If you guys want to listen to more episodes, we will be putting them out every 2 weeks. Please follow and retweet and repost and do all that stuff. Scott's got a beautiful face, so you definitely want to get it on there.
That's not true. You're the pretty one here.
Oh, well, thank you. But I appreciate it. We will see you guys next time.